In the high-stakes world of Indian politics, a single speech can really set the entire tone for a movement. Today, we're going to deconstruct Rahul Gandhi's pretty fiery address at the Vote Chor Gadi Chor rally. And that title, it translates to a really provocative demand: vote thief, leave the throne. So let's jump in and see how he built his case. Right off the bat, Gandhi didn't kick things off with a policy promise or anything like that. Instead, he started with this deep philosophical challenge. He puts this quote on the table and he attributes it directly to the head of the RSS. Now, by doing this, he wasn't just making some political jab. He was framing the entire election as this fundamental clash of worldviews, a real battle between truth and power. And this sets up the first major pillar of his argument. He's framing the entire political landscape as this huge battle between two totally opposing philosophies. He's essentially asking the audience, hey, you've got to choose a side. But it's not just between parties. It's between two very, very different ideas of what India should even be. And just look at how he breaks this down. On one side, he positions his Congress party with these ideals of satya, that's truth, and ahimsa, nonviolence. But on the other side, he paints the RSS ideology as this machine driven only by the pursuit of satta, power, a world where truth isn't just secondary, it's totally irrelevant. So you see, this isn't just a simple comparison, right? It's a full-on moral framing, and it's designed to create a very clear hero and villain in this story. Okay, so after setting this huge philosophical stage, Gandhi yanks the argument right down from the clouds and into the nitty-gritty of electoral politics. He pivots from the big why to the very specific how. And he makes this incredibly explosive central accusation. And this, right here, is the absolute core of his argument. He's not just hinting at minor issues, he is leveling the charge of vote theft. The claim is that the ruling party isn't just winning elections, it's stealing them to keep its grip on power. I mean, that's an accusation that strikes at the very heart, the very legitimacy of the whole democratic process. Now, to make a massive claim like that stick, you can't just talk in generalities, right? So he zeroes in on the state of Haryana with some pretty startling examples. He talks about a Brazilian woman allegedly showing up 22 times on the voter list, and even more dramatically, the claim of millions of duplicate voters. He's trying to paint a picture not of a few isolated mistakes, but of widespread systemic fraud. And this move, it's a classic, because a big abstract problem like voter fraud, well, it can be hard for an audience to really wrap their heads around. But a single, shocking number like 200, the number of times one woman allegedly voted, that hits you right between the eyes. It makes this huge abstract idea feel totally real, and honestly, pretty outrageous. It's a powerful way to make it all feel real. But wait, Gandhi doesn't stop at just accusing the ruling party. He widens the net, and this is where it gets really serious. He points his finger at one of the most crucial institutions in any democracy, the body that's supposed to make sure elections are free and fair. And wow, this is where it gets personal. He didn't just vaguely critique the institution. Nope, he named names, the 3 election commissioners. The accusation here is that they're not impartial referees, but that they are actively complicit with the government, that they're deliberately turning a blind eye to the very problems his party claims to have found. And then he drives the point home with this zinger of a line. He's reminding them, and more importantly, the public, that their duty is to the Constitution of India, not to the Prime Minister. This is a powerful accusation. He's saying they've abandoned their sacred neutrality and have basically become political tools. Then, as if that wasn't enough, he raises the stakes even higher with something that sounds like both a promise and, well, a threat. He vows that if his party comes to power, they won't just reverse a law that he claims protects these commissioners. They'll apply the change retroactively. That's a pretty controversial legal move. It's basically saying, we will come back in time to hold you accountable for what you're doing now. So from these really specific accusations against individuals, Gandhi pulls the camera way, way back to the biggest picture possible. He connects these allegations of vote theft to something much, much larger. A fundamental threat to the very soul of the country. And you have to notice who he brings into this: B.R. Ambedkar, the principal architect of the Indian Constitution. By doing this, he's elevating the argument way beyond just politics. He's framing vote theft not just as a crime against his party, but as a direct assault on Ambedkar's vision for India. And that is a powerful and deeply resonant claim from millions of people. And his logic here is really simple, but man, is it powerful. The Constitution guarantees one person, one vote. He's arguing that when you have millions of duplicate voters or all these other problems, that fundamental promise is broken. So in his view, this isn't just about skewing one election, it's about corroding the very foundation of Indian democracy. So, why should the average person care about all this? Well, this is where Gandhi tries to connect all the dots. He argues that a government that doesn't fear the ballot box, a government that can just steal votes, has zero reason to solve your real-world problems. He links this alleged democratic failure directly to kitchen table issues like unemployment, flawed tax laws, and that controversial demonetization policy. The message is clear. Hey, your vote is being stolen, and that's the reason your life isn't getting better. Okay, so after painting this really dire picture of a democracy on the brink, the speech takes a sharp turn. It shifts from this whole catalog of accusations to a message of hope and a promise of eventual victory for his supporters. And he does it with, a classic bit of political theater. He tells this story, this anecdote, claiming he saw the powerful Home Minister's hands shaking in Parliament. Now, whether it happened exactly like that, it almost doesn't matter. He's using this really vivid image to project weakness onto his opponents, to suggest their confidence is crumbling because, as he puts it, their vote theft has been caught. And just like that, he brings the whole speech full circle, right back to that central theme we started with. He draws this final, stark contrast. Power, he argues, it's temporary, it's built on fear. But truth, he claims, is eternal. And by aligning his cause with the path of Mahatma Gandhi, he's positioning his fight not just as a political campaign, but as a moral crusade that, in his view, is destined to win. And so, he leaves his supporters with a final, clear path forward. Yeah, the ultimate goal, he says, is to remove the current government from power, but he's super specific about how they're going to do it. It's not a call to arms in a literal sense. It's a call to fight with the weapons of truth and nonviolence. He's vowing to defeat his opponents ideologically, promising to win not with hatred, but with a better idea. So when you step back, what have we really seen here? A speech that is just a masterclass in political rhetoric. It kicks off with a grand philosophical battle, dives headfirst into specific, shocking allegations, and then climaxes with this moral call to action. It's a really carefully constructed story, designed to mobilize a base and challenge the legitimacy of an opponent. And it leaves us with a pretty critical question. In a world where truth and power are pitted against each other, which one ultimately wins at the ballot box?